How blessed we are to be here today, and boy, are we climbing, I'll tell you. But our climb is a little different. I love the visual of the mountain and the climb and using all your physical strength. But right now, our climb is about using our spiritual strength. I know we're called right now. We're called to be transcending that spiritual transcendence of consciousness, where we lift ourselves up to a greater understanding. You know, Joseph Campbell, that great mythologist and a great philosopher and professor of the human experience, says, where you stumble lies your treasure. And how often have we stumbled in life and had no clue how to get up? We had a great loss, a great problem, a great betrayal, and we had no idea how we were going to get up again. The only thing that would lift us up is that spiritual understanding is there has to be something greater. There has to be. You know, Ernest Holmes says, we are born to be happy, to be abundantly supplied with every good thing, to have fun in living, and to consciously unite with that divine power that is around us and within us, and to grow and expand forever. That's where we're going. That's what's here for us. What keeps us resisting the good that's ever present? It's not just good. You can't say, oh, you know what? My life's good enough right now. That doesn't work. Because look, we live in a spiritual universe, right? We're spiritual beings. We live in a spiritual universe that knows there's only one, and unique, wonderful expressions, unique expressions of that one. And this spiritual universe is continually downloading love, wisdom, understanding, joy, and beauty. All the truths, those are just some of them, continually downloading all this goodness, waiting for us to accept it. And as we accept it, we move up that spiral evolutionary chain to lead us to a greater awakening of the truth. But we also live in this physical universe. Now, my dear buddy Rumi, 13th century mystic, says, we are stars wrapped in skin. We can't avoid the skin. We chose at some level to be here in this human experience, to experience it. So this physical experience, this physical universe is continually evolving and renewing itself, and we're part of that, which birth, growth, decay, renewal, birth, growth, decay, it's the process of this life. Now, if we continually look just at the physical, we're going to be disillusioned by life, because it's a continual bouncing up and down of this process that's ever changing, because the only constant is change. It's ever changing. So if we're continually looking just at the external world, that disillusion is going to grow and grow and grow. The job is for us to unite the spiritual and the physical together, so we can live just the way Ernest Holmes said, with a greater understanding. It doesn't mean that everything's perfect all the time in this physical world, but we understand what's behind it. Because this physical world is defined by opposites, pairs of opposites. But behind the opposites is the unity and the oneness that we're all here to seek, to grow, to become oneness. We need each other. We need each other. You know, life is difficult at times. Just as you so beautifully said, Susan, so beautifully, it's difficult at times. But when we expand the spiritual consciousness, that there's always something more. God's vision for us is always goodness and greater goodness. We have to remember we're in this process of growing and evolving. St. Paul said, the invisible, which is spirit, must be understood by the visible, which is our human form. So we've got to be practicing. We have to keep practicing remembering there's something more at work. Yes, right now, we are called to be praying all the time, to heal the divisions and the separation that we feel in the consciousness of our world right now. We need to be healing it. We need to be healing the physical body that wants to protect itself, but our humanness wants us to be together. So we must unite in that spiritual connection to know there's always something more. Always something more. It's really cute that Susan read that quote by Hafez, and right here at the top of my page it says, "I wish I could show you in your times of greatest darkness and loneliness that the light within you is astonishing, it's amazing, and it's magnificent." So you and I need to do our work. What do we need to do so we make the connection so the invisible becomes visible? If we live in the invisible all the time, if we go become a hermit or a monk on the top of a hill, I don't think that's what we're called to do, because it disconnects us from this world. And if we live in this world all the time and don't connect the two, we live in that disillusionment I talked about. So what do we need to do to connect the two things? First of all, we have to realize that that good is waiting for us, and we're resisting it at some level. If we're not experiencing it and understanding there's something more, we are resisting it. So what we need to do is a word that not everybody likes to hear, but we need to surrender. And it doesn't mean to wave the white flag and give up. We're not here to give up. We're here to separate anything, surrender anything that separates us from that divine presence. So we can know with faith and goodness that there's something more going on. We need to surrender. Right now, this minute, we need to surrender unkindness. We can't deal with it anymore. Ernest Holmes said, we can do a lot of things, but we cannot hate. There is no room at all for hate, for unkindness. We have to surrender our unkindness so we can discover kindness and caring. You can see it everywhere in the world right now. There's so much kindness going on. People helping people. People helping animals. People helping the world. We're needed. Our hands, our mind, our consciousness is needed to bring things together again. We need to surrender our fear. Are you able to doubt your doubts more than you fear your fear? I just opened a book of quotes I had. I said, wow, let me think about that. Can I doubt my doubts? My doubts aren't really as important as I make them. And can I not fear my fears? But make a greater understanding more important. We have it within us if we just allow ourselves to be still. It's interesting. Our daughter, Deanna, and Brooke came up yesterday, and I'm not sure if they wanted to see us or if their washing machine broke and they had a lot of laundry to do. I'm really not sure which one or the other. But Deanna brought me this book that I'd looked at. I'd been at Gelson's and I saw this magazine, The Power of Joy. And oh my gosh, I loved it. But I looked at it and I picked it up and I thought, oh, I'm going to buy this. And I saw it was $14.99. I thought, I'm not paying $14.99 for a magazine. So I put it down, and she brought me that magazine yesterday, which I thought was so cool. I said, oh my gosh. And I said, did you know this cost $14.99? She said, Mom, I didn't look at that. I just saw The Power of Joy, and I thought, this is something you would love. Okay, who's smarter? No comment on that one. But it talks about the importance right now of joy. And one of the articles says, you go outside. Go outside. And I thought, oh, another confirmation, the outside service. That's nice. But outside and just breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. And then open your senses to all that you feel and see. Just be aware. I thought, how easy for our spiritual practice to just go outside. And if you heard, I read that Rumi quote on my Little Friday message, and it says, learn to embrace sorrow. Look straight at its face and joy will reappear. All action sways between contraction and expansion, both as important as the opening and closing of the wings of a bird in flight. And the last thing it said in this article, the 3 steps: go outside, breathe deeply, let all your senses be alive, and make friends with a bird. Befriend a bird. And just watch that bird in flight. And is there just one mind? Is there just what a message? Just look at a bird in flight, look at it eat, notice its colors. Just find the simple things of life and appreciate them. So we need to surrender the things that separate us from the knowing there's something greater at work. And that we need to do our prayer work and our spiritual work to keep us connected. Jesus, greatest teacher, taught about surrender. He says, probably his greatest teaching of surrender was, "Fear not, little flock. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Meaning, if we let go of our fear and our resistance to the good that's at hand, or the trouble that we're here, stumbling's where our treasure lies. Don't be afraid to live fully. And he said, the kingdom's here. We can't resist it. We must put our fears aside and be fully alive. But then he also said, "Blessed are the meek, for they inherit the earth." What does that mean? Well, you and I have a concept of meek. Ew, do you want to be meek? I don't want to be meek. But meek in Greek, in ancient Greek, means gentle and forgiving. Can you understand why the meek might inherit the earth? The people that are gentle and forgiving and understanding that there is something more that wants to be revealed. So surrendering, yes, means we surrender to our need to be angry, unkind, the things that keep us out of harmony. When we're not in harmony with life, we need to surrender that. Another thing we need to surrender, and I don't know how many of you do this, but we need to let go of the past. We can remember the past and think of experiences, but so many of us bring neurotic thought patterns from the past into the future. And the experiences we're having right now are created by our past thoughts, because our thoughts create our experience. So we're bringing all that stuff that we should have learned had the opportunity to learn from those things, we bring them into this moment, because our past thoughts create the present. So what does that mean? Right this moment, we're creating the future. This moment, we're creating the future. And what we focus on and what we think about most is what we become. So if we're looking at the problems and the news and feeling angry, insightful, ugly thoughts, we're feeding the problem and not being the solution. But if we're knowing something greater wants to be known and given and understood, it doesn't mean we don't act, it doesn't mean we don't have opinions, it doesn't mean we don't have feelings and guidance, but it's all coming from a place of understanding that we are in this together. All of our different ways of thinking, our different ways of being, all our different physical expressions in life, we are in this together. So we have to let go of the stuff in the past that doesn't work. It didn't work then, it's not working now, and we don't want to bring it into the future. So we need to start changing the way we show up and what we do and how we treat one another. Every week, and I'm going to say it until we really get it. I'm going to say it every single week, because it's the one thing that keeps me connected. When I forget, is reaching that one hand into the greater understanding, the wisdom, the truth we know is there no matter what. The harmony, the peace we know is there in spirit. We know it's there. And then putting that hand out into humanity, because we're not here only to bring ourselves in alignment with God, with love, with harmony, with peace, with goodness. We need to help each other. I can't tell you this week how many people have helped me and how grateful I am. We're in this together. I want to read something, and I thought we'd have a little participation here. Some of the things Ernest Holmes says about the importance of non-resistance. Of course, that was Martin Luther King was into the non-resistance, the non-violence. So was Gandhi. So was Jesus. These guys all work together, with the same consciousness. And that's what we're here to do too. So in your own mind and heart, I just want you to feel where you might be resisting your greater good. I was listening to somebody speak on how to keep your mind active as you grow older, which is something I think is on all our minds. And they said, do something you're a little bit afraid of every day. Brings you a little bit of discomfort every day. I thought, wow, fine. Okay, we don't all want to do that, but do the things that make you a little uncomfortable. Let go of some of the things that have brought you comfort. Not the comfort food right now, we still need that, but the other things, let go of those things. And if we think about nature knows how to be flexible. A tree knows how to sway in the breeze. Nature is flexible. Humans aren't so flexible. But if we think of we can either think of a big cube of ice or just an ice cube on a warm tray, or a big cube of ice in the sun. What happens to it? It softens. It liquefies. It melts. It becomes soft and fluid. And that's what needs to happen to us. We need to recognize what in us is resisting that pull. We talk about every week, that pull of the greater good. We want to be more loving, kinder, more understanding, more connected. We want to do that. And what's keeping us from it? So this came from Ernest Holmes in his book, Change Your Life. I believe that was the book. Today, and just say it in your mind because I know we have masks on, but if you're at home and don't have a mask on, just say it out loud. Today I practice non-resistance. I turn from everything that denies my good. We don't want to be there. If it's denying your good, remember what you think about most, you become. I turn away from everything that denies my good. When I see something that I can add some light to, some love to, some understanding, that's okay, but I'm not going to be participating in the other things. I affirm the good I desire. The universe can't give us what we don't ask for. What do we want? What do we desire in our life? Okay? In the midst of fear, I turn to faith. In the midst of uncertainty, I turn to security. In the midst of lack, I turn to abundance, because it's all there. It's all there for each and every one of us. So just take this moment, unwrap yourselves, put your feet on the ground right here. Close your eyes and just know with me, right in this moment there is only God. There's only goodness. Everywhere present always for us. And in this moment, as we feel our oneness with that goodness, we connect with it. We realize that we are made of light, of love, of goodness right here, right now. We have everything we need to see from a higher perspective, a higher viewpoint of life, to know where we're called, to bring that spiritual transcendence of consciousness, to uplift ourselves that we may lift others, in creating a world that's at peace, and that we can create right now in our own hearts, that peaceful feeling, that we can share that light, that we can be something and someone that uplifts a room when we walk in, that can be a presence that's felt for good, for light, for love. That's our calling right here and right now. In the midst of a place where we're fallen, we feel crumbled, we feel apart, we can rise up in consciousness right now, in this moment, to share the good that we already are, to let it be revealed in this moment. It's not something we do one time only. It's a conscious intention we make every single day to be the good we desire, to express the light that we are. Every day we do this, make that conscious intention, and we feel uplifted, enlightened, connected. We feel the hope and the faith of goodness right here, right now. We release this truth, this infinite mind, this loving presence of God that only knows to say yes. We let it go, we let it be, and together we say, and so it is. And in that place and space, please know how much you're loved and how much we're here together. And so it is.